Hello everyone, I'm Mistaken and today I am repasting my graphics card. So to do this you need to take out your graphics card. I think you need to know how to take out your graphics card to be able to repaste it. So if you don't know how to take out your graphics card, then don't follow this video because this is not made for you. I'm sorry. Okay, so I just have to say that this is not a guide for how you do it. This is just me telling you how I did it with my card. And I'm not considering myself on the level of any of these. So you can go to people like Gamers Nexus or JC or actually hardcore overclocking if you want someone that might be able to tell you what to do and not to do. So this is just my journey for repasting my graphics card. So yeah, I hope you like it. The reason why one would repaste the graphics card is because of temperature or fan spin. Like if the fans speed up and slow down, that's the problem that I had. So my fans would go up to 3000 something RPM and then back to 1500 and then up to 3000 and down again. And this is super annoying. And even on some games, they would almost constantly be at 3000, even though the temperature were only at 80 degrees. But I think it's a temperature switch in the graphics card and a sensor that made the card go, crazy with the fan RPM. And so I thought that the repasting might help, and in the end it did. I did get about 15, maybe 20 degrees cooler after the repasting. So I do recommend that you do it if you have an old graphics card that you know that soon you want to replace because of fan noise or because of the temperatures. Maybe you get stuttering in the game that you didn't get before. It also helps if the card you have has been a mining card, because mining cards are supposed to run over 24 hours and it gets very hot over a long period, so the paste is most likely dry. So some of the stuff that you need is paste, of course, thermal paste. And the paste that I used was thermal grizzly, cryonaut, I think it was. And second is thermal pads, both 0.5 millimeters and 1 millimeter. So those two are the ones for my graphics card. You can just search for your graphics card and thermal pads. And these are not necessary if you can disassembly it without breaking the thermal pads. But then again, that is something you don't know before you take it apart. So when you take it apart, they can break and it's very risky to use the graphics card without them, because many of the core components around the chip is does need the thermal pads to work properly, or else they would get way too hot, and that's not good for longevity. And this process was really terrifying because the graphics card itself is so expensive and it's hard to get a new one these days, and because of the shortage, of course. And yeah, so I'm really glad that it all worked out. So yeah, let's just jump on in. Okay, so once you have your graphics card out of the case, you may want to see what screws it needs, because it depends on your card. It may be only these types. As you can see, the plus type, I think it's called Phillips screw head. And yeah, when you have found the right screwdrivers, just open it up. And when you have the top screws out, just also check if there are some screws on the I/O shield that may hold the card together. I'm not sure if this actually helped on my card or if it was just how it was. And then the terrifying part, ripping it open. So when you do it, just try not to break it. The cooler should be very sturdy, and as long as you still have the backplate on your PCB, then that should be fine as well. So it's not as scary as you might think. And when you have it, you can see here that the thermal paste is all dried up. I should have probably repasted it a long time ago. And you can also see all these thermal pads are fine. And to clean up your GPU, you need some isopropyl alcohol and something. You can use paper. You can use paper towels that doesn't leave residue. So not toilet paper, but something that's a little bit better than that. Okay, so when you have cleaned up your chip, you can see that I still have some thermal paste on the sides here, but I thought that I had isopropyl alcohol, but I didn't. So I was afraid that I would rip off some of these capacitors if I tried to clean it on the side here. And so I just didn't clean the sides. And since this isn't electrically conductive, it shouldn't be a problem. And when you have done that, just connect your fans and then try to get it right the first time so you don't need to reapply your paste. This is, yeah, it went fine. Then you just have to screw your screws in again and you're done. So how did this affect my PC? So here we first will take a look at Far Cry 3. I'm just in the menu, and as you can see on the old one or before, you can see that I went all the way up to 3800. You can see the fan speed here, fan tachometer, and it ramps up and then down again, and then up. And here on the lower one, you can see that I'm only at 1300 and my temperature is still lower. And yeah, so that is kind of the reason why I wanted to do this. And the next one is Witcher. So on the top one, you can see I'm almost at 3800 constantly. and on the lower one I am only at 1000. So this was kind of shocking because the difference was so large. Like this one, when I used to play it a lot, I didn't have this problem, but it developed because the thermal paste was drying out. And so it more or less constantly was at 3800 RPM. So that's get pretty annoying. Here we have Cyberpunk as well. This one isn't that big of a difference, but this is CPU bound. So I would need a new CPU if we were to see any difference here on this test. So yeah, these were just some of the games that I had installed. If you like this video, please subscribe and leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!